listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed, support causes that matter, change lives, change communities, change the world. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Thank you, Lawrence, and good morning, viewers and listeners. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Kingston Community Radio, talk radio show. We're broadcasting live from our studios right here at 16 Lucas Avenue in Kingston, New York, and we would love to hear from you. 331-9255 is our call-in number. In the studio alongside of me is Fred Costello, Supervisor, Town of Saugerties. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Greg. How you doing?
We are doing.
Got a little bit of winter weather. It's cool out.
We're, to the south of us, they got a lot of problems.
I saw that on the news earlier.
South of 84. Free. So any of our listeners, viewers that are going to be headed to the south, if you don't have to go right away, maybe just give it a couple hours till it gets above freezing. But they've got a lot of road closures and a lot of accidents.
Yep. Some kind of icy conditions.
On one of the roadways down there, a box trailer, tractor trailer, was facing north in the southbound lane.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's some icy conditions.
That was a complete spin out.
Yeah. Wow. So. And we've been fortunate because the winter weather's been south of us.
Yes.
But Virginia, that on I-95, that's an incredible story. People were stuck for 24 hours.
27 hours.
It just doesn't seem possible.
And the backup went as far as 75 miles. You stop and think about that. That's almost to the city.
Here to New York City, yeah.
Yeah.
You just
wonder.
There's a curiosity about it because I don't understand how folks couldn't get off. There had to be 3 or 4 exits in between.
Yeah, you would think so. You would think so in that kind of a stretch.
Yeah.
Especially in 95.
Yeah, it's not like it's a rural highway in the middle of the country.
Right.
It's fairly dense.
And, I'm sure vehicles ran out of fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And, I got thinking, well, when a car sits there idling, and I'm sure, they shut the car off for a while and then started to back up, but it was cold, and they had to have heat, and no food. No drink. A lot of times I don't pack food and water in a car when I go sometimes water, yeah, but not food.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder how on earth something like that occurred or was allowed to occur.
There's a curiosity that I don't understand how it could have happened. And we're fortunate in the Northeast. If you live in the Southwest and you're traveling, you think about water because if you get car trouble, you could dehydrate. And if you live in the Midwest this time of year, you do plan with a blanket and some of the other precautions.
Yes. Yeah.
Where we are, fortunately, we don't have, that's not at the front of our mind. We're fairly densely populated. Our DPW services do an outstanding job keeping our roads open, so we don't fear that in the same way. And we have adequate emergency response for the most part as well. But for Virginia, wow.
Nightly news last night, they were interviewing via telephone the Virginia State DOT guru, commissioner, whatever his title is, and he was saying that the reason that they didn't even pre-treat the roads like they normally did because of the rain. And now, I'm sure what they're using is just as good or better than what we use. And he made a statement that the rain would just wash it off and have no effect. That is not true.
That's not true, though, right?
That is not true. That is not true. You can put that stuff down, and then if, let's say, you get nothing at all, or you get some a light amount and it melts, which is basically like rain hitting, or it does rain. If you do nothing after, and the next event hits, or there's a surprise event,
There'll still be some residual effect.
Yeah.
That stuff is amazing.
It is.
It's made your efforts around town hall and other facilities incredible. I've gotten off the highways where it was still slushy and pulled into our parking lots, and they're starting to dry off. It's really amazing that
it is, and it's very environment. We use the molasses. We don't use magnesium. What else is out there? There's another, but it's just as effective, and it's environmentally friendly. I mean, I don't know how many times we would over at the Greco Center, even the ice arena, the ornamentals, the shrubbery alongside the sidewalks. You see that a lot of places where on the roadside or the sidewalk side, it's all brown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the salt. That's the salt eating away.
Burning at it.
And all the years, and that curb's been in there since probably the early mid 80s at the Greco Center. It's all crumbled away practically. Mm-hmm. It's practically non-existent.
Yeah. Salt is harsh.
Salt is harsh.
Yeah, it lets that moisture penetrate deep into the concrete, and when it freezes and thaws, it just busts it apart.
And that's the other nice thing with this product too is we don't buy our salt treated. We treat it ourselves. It's half the cost. Is it
really?
It's half the cost. And we treat it ourselves. I mean, already got the tank, and we mix the salt, and it's actually it's anti-corrosive. So I mean, our polyethylene sander, we leave the salt right in it. Obviously, the chute and the spinner after each event. Now, every so often, if we're going storm after storm, we'll take and we get a lull. But we were out, I think once. That's it. The Friday before Christmas, if you remember.
Yeah.
That morning. Yeah, because I had Keithy on call, and I had to call him in, and but all we did that day was the police station and town hall, because just about everything else was closed. And but I got a kick out of him saying that he was using that as an excuse, because obviously they've taken a lot of criticism, and rightfully so. Again, it's hard to fathom how something like that can happen, because when a weather event goes from rain to snow, it's not like you snap your fingers and all of a sudden there's 3 inches of snow on the ground. Mm-hmm. It takes some time. Mm-hmm. So something broke. So there was some kind of a serious breakdown
in planning or staging or who knows what. I mean, we have been lulled this year. We're in the first week of January, and we have not had very much significant winter activity. It's been extraordinarily mild. I actually saw robins. There's a flock of robins on
that's another myth. Robins don't disappear in the winter.
No?
No, they don't. If people say, "Oh, I saw a robin," it's spring must be right around the corner. Well, they don't. Well, on the south end of the ice arena, the crocuses were popping up.
Were they really?
Which kind of surprises me, because it was always my understanding that it's just like leaves. A lot has to do with the hours of daylight. The photosynthesis, but I was shocked. Yeah, it was about a week ago or so. I
saw some of them.
Looking there they are popping up out of the ground. I'm saying, oh boy, they're going to get whacked.
They're going to get in trouble, sure. But they're pretty hardy.
Yeah, they are. They are.
I don't know if we should be excited that we've had this mild winter or afraid for our lives. It's been very mild.
Yeah, it has been. I mean, we had that. What was it? Monday. Mm-hmm. Monday was a cold day, Now, next week, I mean, Tuesday's going to be absolutely frigid. But then it bumps right back up above freezing.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. You're actually going to get a break from it anyway, even if it starts.
Yeah.
Early.
Week from Sunday, I leave.
Wow. That came quick.
So I'll be here next Wednesday. The following Wednesday, I will not.
For 5 consecutive, right?
No.
You'll be back and then go again?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. February 11th, we go on our vacation.
Okay. All right. Very good.
And I've already told the mayor about the dates and said to fill in. And we got some announcements.
Yeah, we
Good
got a
morning,
couple.
Chief Sinagra.
All right. I'll start with
Get them out of the way in case we get some callers, and we'd love to hear from you. 331-9255 is our call-in number.
we have this is by the Manacor and Damacor organization in Kingston. They are doing a Winter Worst Fest takeout. This will be Saturday, January 22nd, and the time will be from noon till 1:30. The location will be at 37 Greenkill Avenue in Kingston. The worst platter, 2 worst, $15. Worst platter with 1 worst, $13. Choice of bratwurst, weisswurst, or knockwurst. An extra worst will be $3. Both platters include sauerkraut, mashed potatoes, a dinner roll, and dessert. Order and various soda will be $1 extra. Order and payments required by Wednesday, January 12th. They will accept checks and all credit cards. To place orders, call Marianne at 845-546-3534. That sounds good.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does. And after a 2-year hiatus due to the pandemic, Sorgety Sports Hall of Fame will resume their tradition of honoring those who have made a significant impact on Sorgety sports history. As the Sports Hall of Fame enters its 59th year of existence this year, the induction banquet takes place Saturday, April 9th at the Diamond Mills, 25 South Petition Street in Sorgeties. Doors open at 5 with a cocktail and greeting hour from 5:30 to 6:30, followed by dinner and induction ceremonies. And the 2022 inductees, who have been now waiting 2 years, include Pat Caffrey, Jay Dodick, and Mark Herb, along with Steve Ener Martin and Jimmy Spears posthumously. All are invited to come out and celebrate the achievements of this year's inductees and be part of the Great Sorgeties Institute and tradition. Now, tickets are available. The price has not increased. They are still $30. Please contact Mike Hasenbog at 914-388-2348. You may email him at mikehasenbalg@yahoo.com. You can also visit the Facebook page for more details and to reserve your tickets, where there are payment options for the sale of those tickets.
Good. And nice class of inductees.
Yes.
So it should be a really nice event. Funny, when I'm hitting the age where there's the folks I grew up with. I kind of liked it better when it was the folks I watched play.
Yeah. How do you think I feel?
I have an announcement for all Legionnaires, auxiliary sons, Legion riders, and spouses. You are all cordially invited to attend the Ulster County American Legion State Commander's Visitation Dinner, honoring Frank LaMarche on Friday, January 14th, 2022, at the Rosendale Tilson Post in Tilson, New York, at 12493. Social hour will be 5 to 6. Dinner will be at 6 p.m. Tickets are $35. There'll be a cash bar, and the dinner will be a buffet. For more information, please call 845-901-5196 by December 31st. So you should have already made your reservations, but if you're still interested, please reach out, and I'm sure
I think they might be sold out.
they may be sold out. I
We
imagine
had
they
a
would be.
House committee meeting at the Legion last evening, and I believe that's what our commander had said. Not 100% sure. Never hurts in checking or getting on a waiting list, because inevitably there will be, I'm sure, cancellations. And hot off the press, the Empire State Winter Games, which take place in Lake Placid. The torch relay and parade will be coming to Sorgeties once again. They start down in the city and head north, and they'll be stopping over. Approximately 4 p.m., they will arrive in Sorgeties. At 4:45, marchers and those others interested, the volunteer fire companies, EMS, will line up on Small World Avenue Extension. That is a change from previous years, since the tennis courts in Court Drive is now closed until spring. So that's going to take place, the lineup on Small World Avenue Extension, and then they'll go right out onto Washington Avenue, hang a right, around through the village, back into the complex, where approximately it'll end at 5:45 at 6 p.m. Ice ceremony right on the ice, and it's always a good time. It's always a very good time, and it's great to see that they always have a good time, the contingent from Empire State Winter Olympic Games.
And it's a really nice opportunity to celebrate young and old athletes from Saugerties who are going to participate. It's
generally as many as 80 have gone. I remember the one year when we did the certificates at the town board meeting, which I probably should do again, because it's you stop and think there's to qualify to get to those games takes a lot.
It
takes a lot, and there's a lot of time, there's a lot of commitment that gets put forth to achieve being able to qualify and go to these games.
Yeah, it's pretty special. It's nice to celebrate that. Those parents and athletes, and some of the folks who are competing at the adult levels. They dedicate a lot of time and effort to make that happen, and we've had some very notable achievement come out of Saugerties. So,
yes, we have.
Yeah. Ed, I think, won his class, right?
He not only got gold in the speed skating contest last year in the regular division. So these could be 18, 20-year-olds he's competing against. Then he competed in the senior division, and he got gold in that too.
Good for him. I forgot that he did it in the open class. That's really special.
It is. It is. I wonder if that was a first. I mean, when you stop and think about it, to be competing up against 20 and 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, and you're in your 50s, late 50s. It's quite
impressive,
an accomplishment.
Yeah. Young folks, they can just breathe, and they don't run out of energy. So it takes a lot of training to maintain that. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him is right, and he's been a long time, actually since day one, dedicated volunteer at the ice arena. Him and his wife, Amy.
Yeah. Greg, it's just an undertold story. Al Riazzi is working with Doug Burt and our crew to make pickleball a reality. But Albert's legacy goes all the way back to his dad and his uncles. Holy cow, they built every dugout for years.
Third generation.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And
they never charged a penny.
No, the generosity it's pretty incredible. And it's not like these are amateurs with a pickup truck. Albert's a professional builder, and his family's had that legacy for decades. And we get some really top quality work for free. What an amazing story. And the ice rink has its own fabric as well. You just mentioned Montalbanos, but there's been so many folks that have dedicated so much time, to make those leagues grow and prosper and successful. And there's just so many great stories in there. And
well, you go back and you look at, a lot of times volunteers will have a run for a certain amount of time, and then their children grow up or whatever, they move on. But you look back at the number that have been involved since the ice arena came back in 1999, 2000, and then also prior to that with the leagues. And right off the top of my, Pat Caffrey, who what a great honor for him going into the Hall of Fame. I've said to him many times, I think I'm going to put a penthouse suite up above the admissions because you're always here. He spends more time there. Okay, he'll leave some nights at 10 o'clock. Like on a Friday night, he'll leave 10, 11 o'clock. He's back at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Jesus. It's amazing.
It is. It is.
And then
very,
your point's valid. He hasn't done that for the 2 or 3 years that his kids played in there. He's done that for decades.
And then going all the way back, his involvement with Babe Ruth. Dave Hinkle's another guy. I mean, he pops up all over the place. Putting a roof on a Little League press box. doing stuff at the Babe Ruth field. Sean Bodie. And Sean Bodie bought a property and a house years ago in Blue Mountain and moved. He lived in Kingston specifically because of the ice rink. And the time that he spent, and his kids are, they are good. They're good competitors, and Sean's a certified instructor, teacher, and does a very, very good job at it.
Yeah, his son's playing in some very competitive leagues.
Yeah.
So, and he's quite an athlete, so congratulations to them. But great stuff.
It is great stuff.
Yeah,
it is.
Really amazing.
So what else we got going on?
Oh, a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Haven't been bored in a while.
Well, I'm trying to think now. Can you pinpoint a date the last time you were bored?
No. I remember trying to steal a couple moments here and there around the holidays and feeling a little bit guilty because I'm trying to relax. Things that I should be doing are entering into my brain. I'm like, I just got to let it go.
Yeah. I mean, there's days like that. Literally Christmas Day, I did nothing.
Perfect.
Except eat and drink.
It's a good day. It's a great day.
But unfortunately, we didn't gather, all of us, like we normally do, because there's generally 14 or 15 of us, and it's just Jen and I, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve.
We all see the news,
Yeah.
and it's premature to congregate in that way yet.
And generally, we go up
this is the last throw.
Generally, we go up to my brother's, Jamie and Linda's, and she, and rightfully so. I mean, she's very, very nervous and
Cautious.
very overly cautious. Yeah. So, but hey, we're all healthy. That's the main thing. We're all vaccinated, boosted, and
I feel sympathy for my wife, Greg. She does her best to stay, safe and not put herself in situations that are potentially risky. And then there's me, I'm exposed every day. And I come home
in your position, I mean, it's kind of like myself. It's kind of like the police chief. It's kind of it's always on my mind also.
Mm-hmm.
But in our daily lives, in our responsibilities and obligations, it's difficult.
Yeah,
it is very, very difficult. And I mean, look what happened to you when you got COVID.
Yeah.
And then, pneumonia.
Yep.
It just, it's very, very difficult to, because you come in contact with so many people. And then, especially in your case, and yesterday was a good example, you're dealing with scenarios that pop up instantly, that require immediate action, immediate attention.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's I wasn't drinking out of somebody's mug, but there's an element of secondary exposure that you just can't avoid, and it is what it is. But I've taken all the precautions I personally can. I just feel bad because I think absent my schedule, my wife probably would have never gotten sick because she's good at taking care of herself. And but we're doing it. Hopefully we're almost there. It's hard to say that when we're in the time we're in and feeling the wave that we're experiencing, but hopefully this is the last throes of it, and we'll get through it pretty soon. When we had Neil on as a guest, I got so much amazing feedback.
Yes.
He was, he's such an interesting person to begin with, but the information that came out, I got a lot of great feedback on. So thanks again, Neil, for being on with us.
I did also, likewise.
And I learned a little bit as well.
I mean, there's some things that I did not know, and he's just a wealth of information. And obviously, I've unfortunately had to send a bunch up to his place to get tested, and they do an amazing job.
Yeah,
amazing job up there.
They do. It's amazing, to say the least. Also, I found curious too, the CDC guidance has changed pretty dramatically. We're down to 5 days. And the restrictions on vaccinated people with regard to quarantine are not as tight as they were.
Right. And after 5 days, if you're vaccinated, you need to wear a mask when you're with people indoors or any kind of a gathering for 5 days.
Yep.
If you're unvaccinated, it's 10 days. And did they drop the duration for unvaccinated from 10 to 5 or just vaccinated people?
I don't want to say for sure because I don't know for a fact, but I think it's 5.
Well, just yesterday they came out with another modification. They didn't mandate testing, but they said, okay,
Recommended testing.
if somebody wants to get tested after 5 days, they can.
Yeah. I think the problem there is the inventory of tests can't. What do you do if you mandate that someone has to be tested after 5 days, but there's not a test available? What do you do?
Also, is it not true that, and I don't know where I heard that, I should have asked Neil this last week, but some people, they could still test positive for COVID a month later.
Yeah.
6 weeks later.
Yep.
So, I mean, how long are you to, but their level of positiveness, I guess you would put it, is where they can't spread it.
Yeah. Yes, you're right on. And when I had it with the original variant, they said that I was contagious for up to 5 days of my illness. Then after that, even though I was still suffering symptoms and I was still sick, I wasn't a risk to anybody else based on science. But that's not an individual test. That's just a categorical application of their.
And you had the original strain.
Yeah, the good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that there, just like now with the Omicron, and that's, I think the primary reason they reduced it from 10 to 5, it incubates in 3 days. Where Delta, it was 4, and the original one was like 5 or 6.
Yep. So it's curious how it changes. Hard to keep up with it all, but learn as we go.
Yeah, and I know CDC has come under fire with changes, modification, but it's all uncharted waters. Every day they're learning more. Mm-hmm. The scientists are learning more. The researchers are learning more. Mm-hmm. So as they learn more, what are they going to do? Keep their mouth shut? No, they're going to come out with revised modification. And this variant, obviously, each variant has had different characteristics. Fortunately, it appears as these variants have popped up, going back to the original one, which was the most
severe,
the most severe. The Delta was less severe. Mm-hmm. Now the Omicron appears that it is also less severe. I mean, you look at the hospitalizations, and the hospitalizations really haven't budged in New York State. I believe on December 3rd, I hope I got my numbers correct. On December 3rd, it was 12,000 people were hospitalized with COVID. On January 3rd, the number was 12,000 something.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
The trade-off is, if you're in a room where somebody sneezes, you're all getting sick.
That's the thing. That's the value of the mask.
Yes.
If you wear it properly. I mean, I see so many people, and there's still a lot of people that refuse to wear a mask every single day at the ice rink over the holidays. And actually,
when do you leave? I know I've asked you this 19 times in the last 2 months. When do you leave for Florida?
Well, vacation is February 11th to March 11th.
Okay, so hopefully the flights, because yesterday there was like another 500 flights canceled.
But a week from Sunday, I leave to go to Savannah, where our national conference is.
Oh,
okay.
See, 3 weeks from today, I leave to go to Florida to go to a Knicks Heat game. Go figure that. At least they're playing a little better, right? But I'm hoping that it all,
How many days are you staying for that?
Well, I was supposed to go from Thursday to Sunday, but now I'm going from Wednesday to Sunday because of the friend of mine down there was like, "Oh, I got you a Christmas present. I got Knicks Heat tickets." It's hard to get to go to a Knicks game in the Garden. Maybe, I don't know. Prior to COVID, the seats are so expensive. It's like it's way too hard to go. So he got me. He got us a pair of tickets. He's the one I go to with the Giants games down there, and he flies up here. I've been friends with him for like 20 years. When I lived down there, I was friends with him. So for Christmas, he bought us 2 tickets to go to the game.
That's cool. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah, and I'm sure down there the ticket prices are nowhere like they are in the city.
I think he said he spent $400 for 2 tickets.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, $200, and he says they're pretty because he knows my eyes are bad.
They're good
he goes,
seats.
I got them pretty close to the court because I know you can't see for So I was like, great.
We're at the bottom of the hour, viewers, listeners. We'll be back with Chief Sinagra right after the break.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
100 years ago, there were 100,000 tigers in the wild. Today, there are as few as 3,200. The Earth's wild animals can't speak up when they need help, but we can. Be the voice for those who have no voice. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Hi, I'm Ruth Quick from town of Ulster. I support Kingston Community Radio, and you should too.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
And welcome back, the listeners and viewers. We're chuckling here. We just had a little joke, and so excuse us. Welcome back for those who've been with us. Those just joining us, 331-9255 is our call-in number. And as I mentioned at the onset, if you happen to be traveling south of the area here, especially south of 84, they've got a lot of problems with freeze and rain, multiple accidents, road closures. I know 287 is completely shut down. So if you don't have to go travel to the south, maybe wait a few hours. If you do, please plan extra time because they've got some issues down there. And Chief Joseph Sinagra, our
snow-free
police chief from
really
Sorgaties.
Yeah, very lucky. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Mr. Supervisor.
Good morning.
For those that are viewing, you can see the chief looks very dapper, as he always does, and he's got the number 1 up on his cup. I can see here. And
so I caught that.
This is number 1 grandpa.
Yeah.
Number 1 grandpa. And Fred Costello's alongside of me also, supervisor from the town of Sorgaties.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Again, 331-9255 is our call-in number. We'd love to hear from you. So what's going on, Chief?
I did a double take at Chief's Cup with the number 1 grandpa.
I know, so did I.
Because I caught it from my peripheral. I'm like, what the heck? And then I saw it. I was like, oh, number 1. The real number 1.
The real number 1.
Oh,
yeah.
When you look at it quick.
You did the same thing?
I did the same thing.
Not the right finger, Fred. So what's new? So new for 2022 is something called Crime Watch. And I'm going to be putting a press release out a little bit later on today about it. It's a new social media platform that is going to replace and has replaced our website. And Crime Watch, now anybody can subscribe to the Crime Watch site, and they'll get immediate notifications from our agency on any arrest, any alerts, any pertinent information that we want to put out to the public. It'll automatically, if you're a subscriber, give you an alert and give you notification as to what the information is. So, and then everything else, all the other great stuff that you found on our website in years past, you're going to find now on Crime Watch.
So why would somebody even want to sign up for it? Because as busy as you people are, the thing would be going off 24 hours a day, every 2-3 minutes.
Well, I mean, that's the only downside to it. It's not, you can't pick and choose what you want to be notified about. You get notified about everything. But it's a good way for us, it's a little bit more transparency. It's also a good way for us to communicate with the public. And the one feature about it that I really, really like is that, and please keep this in mind, non-emergency. If you don't require immediate police response, but you're looking to file a report, you can do it over the Crime Watch. There's a area there that allows you to file complaints. I've already received speeding complaints through this site. I've received complaints about vandalism. So anything that doesn't require immediate police response, the public can fill that form out. it comes right to my email, and I notify our headquarters, and they have a officer. Then we'll contact the complainant and get additional information if it's required. So it's a good way for, especially right now during the pandemic, it's a good way that you can avoid having to come down to police headquarters.
Have you had an uptick, and not just recently, I'm going back now 6 months, a year. It seems the amount of people that speed and the speed that they travel at. Have you had an uptick with speed?
So
tickets?
yeah, and I've said this, yes, and I've said this all along since the pandemic, and we've recognized this nationally. When I attended the National Traffic Highway Safety Conference out in Colorado in September, it was a big topic of discussion. But since the pandemic, we have seen a major increase in roadway crashes and in the number of fatalities. And what really is interesting about that number, it's an all-time high in the past 25 years, is that the traffic is less. So during the pandemic, we had less people operating motor vehicles on the roadway because people were staying home, but yet we had our highest years of roadway fatalities.
But that's not the case now. Traffic isn't less, if anything.
No, traffic is back to its norm, and people are still driving aggressively.
Like crazy.
Right. So what my warning this morning is, after complaints I received yesterday, is the four-way corner in Mount Marion, over by the Mount Marion Firehouse. We're going to be heavily hitting that area there because I'm getting complaints that people are not just running the red light when it goes from yellow to red, but it's actually a steady red, and it's been red, and people are just blasting through it.
That's the other thing I've noticed. Yeah, I mean, I've witnessed it several times over the past couple of weeks. The other thing that really makes me nervous, because so many people use that roadway to walk, to jog, is Washington Avenue. And
Right.
Of course, that's a straightaway. And boy, I'll tell you, this...
Yeah, the traffic is, and we've noticed too, like with our speed signs, because the speed signs actually record the time a vehicle comes through and the speed of the vehicle, and we've noticed an increase. So we try to, I had spoke to a gentleman yesterday regarding a speed complaint in his neighborhood, and we try to address all of them, but obviously I have way more speed complaints right now than I have cops to put out and sit on each corner while they're also answering regular calls for service. So, and the reason why I say it is because we do get to them. We do hear the complaints, we do address them, but unfortunately we can't be there 24/7. So the responsibility really lies with the operator of the vehicle. Slow down. Don't be in such a rush. Is it worth the accident? Is it worth the civil liability? If you cause injury to somebody or you kill somebody because of your recklessness, you're going to pay for it for the rest of your life. So, people need to slow down. And unfortunately, I don't know why the pandemic made people more aggressive. I don't know if they feel on edge or what the problem is, but everybody's in a rush to go someplace.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I don't know if it was just me, but I've said it to other people, and they said, you're spot on.
I see it all the time. I've had cars pass me. I love my unmarked car because it doesn't look like a police car. And as soon as I pull them over, and this kills me, the first thing they'll say to me is, geez, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was a police car. Well, what does it matter if it was a police car? The point is, you're passing on a double yellow.
Oh, my God.
Going 60 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone, you're getting a ticket. Bottom line, it doesn't matter if it's a police car or not. So it's amazing. And then I had, this is the best. Last week on Kings Highway, I'm behind a school bus. I'm following the school bus to make sure that cars aren't passing when the school bus stops and has its red light flashing. So I'm following the school bus, and I give myself enough distance between the back of the school bus and my patrol vehicle that if somebody does pass,
spin around.
Well, number one, I can see them, and I also have room, like you just said, to be able to spin around and chase them down. This guy in his pickup truck comes up behind me and starts laying on the horn. Now, the bus is stopped. Its red lights are flashing. The stop signs are out on the side of the bus, and this guy is laying on the horn. Now, he was upset because he felt that I needed to creep up the 15 or 20 feet that I had between myself and the back of the bus. So I threw the lights on. I get out. I'm like, what's the problem? What's the first thing here? Gee, sorry, didn't realize it was a cop car. What does that matter? Why are we pressuring other motorists to creep up on the back of a school bus that's picking up children or dropping children off?
What's the difference if you're 2 feet or 22 feet behind a...
Exactly. But that's the type of aggressiveness and reckless driving that we've seen since the pandemic. People are just so impatient. And we've also, our number of complaints of road rage incidents have gone up. People fighting with one another. They'll chase somebody down just to tell them that they weren't driving fast enough. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what the answer is other than to issue traffic tickets. That's going to cost them money, and I don't like doing that. I like to have that positive encounter with the motorist, but we got to get a message out. We have to do something to curtail the issue.
You don't have any choice, and those people are putting other lives at risk.
Yes, they are. Yes. I mean, the number of accidents have increased. We've seen it in our own municipality, the number of motor vehicle crashes.
I think one of the untold, unrecognized tragedies that's right in front of us statistically is the increase in motor fatalities. For decades, it became safer and safer to drive. And now recently that trend has ended, and it's becoming more dangerous to drive.
And people are it's more dangerous, and then people are also avoiding not wearing seatbelts again, which is, we find that now in a lot of motor vehicle crashes where a fatality has occurred, it's because the person wasn't seatbelted. We put these campaigns out. We spend millions and billions of dollars nationally every year on traffic highway safety campaigns, and yet people don't heed to the warning.
That's unfortunate. I think we took for granted that every year, there was the percentage of injury in motor vehicles going down. That was just good news. And now I find it disheartening that it's gone the other way. Texting and driving is part of it, but this aggressive driving phenomenon that has come out of the pandemic is certainly part of it as well.
I mean, look at last month before last, I was on 9W, stopped behind a guy that had struck a deer. It disabled his vehicle, so we're stopped on 9W in the flats in Glen Eyrie, and I have all the lights going on my car, and traffic is backing up behind my car. I have other uniformed cars coming. We can't move the guy's car off the roadway. Somebody in line took it upon themselves to drive around the crash scene and hits another vehicle head-on. And causes extensive damage to both vehicles and major injuries. Yeah,
that was totally avoidable.
Totally avoidable.
I mean, when you see those red lights, it's for a reason.
And if you don't see a police officer giving you direction to go around a crash scene, don't take it upon yourself to do that. You're gonna kill a first responder. I mean, we saw that in Kingston years ago, where a fire policeman was killed.
Yesterday, where a trooper was involved, I think.
Was there?
Yeah, I saw a headline come across.
They were brothers.
Maybe North Carolina.
It wasn't in New York State.
It was North Carolina.
Yeah.
It was two brothers that were state troopers. One brother went to back the other brother up at the traffic stop.
Lost their life?
So what happened is, from what I understand and from what I got information that comes through our information network for law enforcement, was that the one trooper had a vehicle stopped. He was out with the operator. He must have called for backup. His brother responds for backup, and his brother loses control as he approaches this scene, crashes into the back of his brother's patrol car, pushing the patrol car into his brother and the person he was interviewing, killing both of them.
Oof.
Yeah, so, it was not good.
Yeah, that's tragic.
And you imagine, he's got to live with the fact that he killed his brother.
Again, right.
So these are the unfortunate situations that occur. I don't know all the particulars. I don't know if they were on icy roads or what the situation was that caused the trooper to go out of control. But that was North Carolina.
We've been fortunate because there has been some winter weather all south of us, which is ironic. But I guess we're going to pair.
And we live in such a chaotic world now. We talk about aggressive driving. I was very disappointed this morning when I read about the new Manhattan district attorney. Did you read about that? Alvin Bragg. So he's the new district attorney in Manhattan. And it's concerning with a memo that the Post received or got a copy of that he put out to his ADAs, and basically telling them that they're not going to be prosecuting and putting people behind bars on major cases. He says the only thing that he really wants to see people go in jail for is if it's homicide or a sex crime, but if it's a robbery and nobody was hurt, even if it's armed, they don't want the person to go to jail. So I don't get that. It sends a bad message out.
Yeah, it does.
I like the way that the union president for NYPD, Lynch, kind of addressed it, because he's right. And I think we saw this happen also during the pandemic. What I'm about to say is that police officers, for the most part, have stopped doing their job because they feel that there's no support. They feel that if they make the arrest, the district attorney's office is not going to follow through with proper prosecution of cases. Now, I'm not saying that's here in Ulster County. I'm talking about a national trend. So when we take a look in areas like Chicago and New York City, where there's DAs that are coming out publicly saying they're not going to prosecute certain cases, what kind of message is that sending out to society, and what message does it send out to law enforcement about enforcing laws that nobody's going to prosecute? So it's really it's a problem.
Yeah. But they're not going to avoid prosecution. They're just going to avoid jail.
Yeah. But again, if I commit an armed robbery
Yeah.
And I'm going to be brought in, processed, and released. What's going to prevent me from going out and committing another armed robbery? And we saw in cities that did this that there was an increase in the homicide rates. And we saw that in Chicago. We saw it in New York City. So, and there's other areas in our country where district attorneys' offices have taken this stance where it's capture and release. Well, it's disheartening, number one, to law enforcement, because, again, you have cops now that are going to say, why should I even make the effort to make the arrest? And the person's only going to go back out on the street. So it sends a bad message out, and I think it's a failed science. I think it's an experiment that went way wrong. We tried to go from one extreme to the other so fast that it's really caused a chaotic society. I took a look at the numbers of homicides in our nation over last year. Chicago led the nation in homicides, followed by New York City and L.A. We need to really take a look at that. And these are homicide rates that have been the highest in the last 25 years. And the only contributing factor, and we can't blame it on the pandemic, the contributing factor is the fact that we restructured the criminal justice system in a way that really softens the impact of committing crime. And it sends a poor message out to criminals. You can keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get slapped on the wrist, and you're going to get turned back out onto the street. And it's making our communities unsafe. And I think we have to really take a hard look this year. And I know at the state chiefs level, we've already held a press conference up in Albany. We've written a letter to Governor Hochul and to the Senate and Assembly asking him to take a look again at bail reform. And we provided suggestions where we believe bail reform needs to be amended. And the first thing is that, number one, the State Chiefs Association does support no jail on majority of cases. We support that. As an organization. What we don't support is the inability of our judges in New York State to use the dangerousness of an individual that comes before the court as a factor to put that person in jail. And I have seen it even in our courts where a person has come in and they've threatened that as soon as they get out, they're going to go back after the person. That's a problem. And the judge's hands are tied. They can't take that comment. They can't take that individual statement into consideration in setting bail. So it really needs to be restructured.
The thing is, I just don't know where these lawmakers, their brains are, because everybody that comes into a court of law, every situation is unique. It's not identical. So the rulings of the judges can't be identical. But as you said, their hands are tied because of the law.
There is a trend, and I think for decades, of codifying everything and saying, if this was they prescribe remedies, prescribe jail sentences, prescribe fines, and they're kind of there has been that trend for decades to take that authority away from judges, because there was a lot of reasons that people felt that the decisions judges were making were biased in some capacity, motivated by who knows what. But so the remedy for that has been, let's prescribe that there's going to be this sentence for this crime or this fine for that activity. And I think that's something that needs to be considered a little bit. Judges are judges. They're there for that purpose, and we should ask them to, consider and weigh the situation. And there's, these things are done by people, and everything we do as people is a little bit different.
And there's going to be the cases, which I think are going to be the exception rather than the rule, where a judge may be biased for whatever reason. But in this case here, I feel the pros far outweigh the cons in giving that flexibility to a judge. Like an individual says in a court of law, or to a judge, or to you, as soon as I get back out, I'm going after that person. Not to have the judgment to remand that individual.
Right. Yeah. I have seen behavior, too, in our court that has been where defendants have been screaming and yelling at the court clerks and have been screaming and yelling at the judge, and it's allowed to go on until the person, on their own volition, decides to walk out of the courtroom. That shouldn't be that way. No. I mean, we've turned everything upside down, quite honestly.
We have.
So that goes back to the trend to codify things, because some judges have a larger tolerance for people's misbehavior than others. Some judges, if you don't say sir, you're out, or call them your honor, you're out of the court. And that's not necessarily how justice is found. But if I'm sitting there berating people and calling them names and incompetent, I should be out of the court, and I missed my opportunity for justice that day, and I have to suffer whatever the consequence is of that, and come back.
And you got to remember
remember to behave well.
When that display is taking place, there's probably 50 or 60 other people that are
disgusting.
watching. And you know what? Again, the message. What is the messaging that we're sending out? And if our judges can't hold someone in contempt for their misbehavior in a courtroom, then what prevents the next person from getting up and doing the same thing and berating the court and making a mockery of the entire criminal justice system? And that's really what is happening right now. And if we don't, and I think we will, because I think people are starting to get tired of it, because I get so many phone calls from people saying, how can this person be out? You know, I have victims of domestic violence who were choked out by their alleged significant other, and they go before the court and they're told, okay, here's a piece of paper that's going to tell you, called an order of protection, that you need to stay away from that person and not do that again. Oh, okay. And we just put him back out in the street.
Right. And as he's going out the door, he rips it up and throws it in the garbage bin.
Right. Exactly. So, you know, we made a joke of the system, and we have to fix it.
You know, you have to think, across this country, how many people have suffered injuries, serious injuries, death, as a result of this bail reform.
Right.
You really have to think about it, because, I mean, you hear of these, you know, not, I don't want to say on a daily or a weekly basis, but you hear of these incidents where people get released, especially down in the city. The incident a couple of weeks ago where a person got released, it was a violent crime, and then pushed somebody in front of the subway. You know, stuff of that nature there. Like you said, it's upside down.
However, the proponents of bail reform would say that statistically, it's not just areas that have employed bail reform; it's areas that still have more traditional versions of bail, where you can use bail to keep somebody if they feel that they've been a propensity towards violence or to repeated offense. Those communities are suffering a spike in crime as well.
Well, I think they're suffering a crime. They're suffering the increase in crime because of the message that was sent out, and they're hearing one message, and that is, if you commit a crime, you're not going to jail. I think and that's a totality of why we are where we are right now.
That's not.
We have a good debate here.
No, but because I don't totally subscribe to the whole thing. I'm of the mindset that, you know, we should have competent judges, and those judges should have the opportunity to judge. That's what they do. Right. And that's why they're called judges, right? So to codify this and have a one-size-fits-all solution is just not going to work. You know, they're.
But I think we have to, err on the side of caution when it comes to protecting society. Absolutely. So if we have judges out there that aren't doing the right thing, and they're allowing their personal bias to influence the decision, there's a way to deal with that through the Commission of Judicial Misconduct. So I mean, there's ways, there's mechanisms in place to deal when we have problem judges, just like when we have problem cops or problem whatever. But I think we really need to take a hard look at this, and people, I think, need to get more involved in it. Because society, I mean, when we take a look at the crime trends, they're only going up. They're not coming down. Even when you take a look at a place like New York City, where for years they were able to, since the days of David Dinkins, they've had a steady decline in crime and criminal activity in the city. And now it's back on the uprise at a 25-year time all high. That should be a wake-up call for all of us, and say, wait a minute, how did we get here, and how do we reverse this? Because we don't want to have society that's so chaotic that it becomes Wild West.
And you can see. One of the things that I observe to be a concerning trend is that there's a return to some vigilante activity to resolve issues, and that's not going to work for us either.
No, it's not.
The judicial system's there to protect all of us, and one individual, you may be right in your accusation, but you don't have the authority to go discipline me because of my misbehavior.
I know, but if a wrong is committed against you and you feel that you get no satisfaction by calling the police because their hands are tied, and you're not getting any satisfaction out of the court system because of bail reform, people will start taking these matters into their own hands.
It's a dangerous road to go down.
Very dangerous road, very slippery slope. I agree.
I have a lot of concern about that. You can't just invent the rules as you go along.
Exactly. So what else we got going on? This is all good stuff. I'm sure everybody's waking up this morning going, what the heck's going on? But it's all
staying dark
all
pretty
good.
long today. There must be a lot of overcast.
But I don't know. Did you notice last night at 5:10?
A little bit daylight.
It was still daylight, but it was very, very clear, spectacular sunset. And then that little sliver of the moon,
Missed it. I missed it. I guess
because I was still in my office and I got the big windows.
missed it.
So I see there was you sent me an email last night about a parade, about the torch.
Torch relay.
Yeah, torch
Empire
relay.
State.
Yes,
Empire
yes,
State,
yes, yes. I just saw I didn't get a whole chance to read the whole thing, but I'm assuming it's over at Cantine, and
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Is that something you're going to need us to assist you with, or is it?
Well, usually law enforcement, EMS, and the fire department participate in the parade, and usually the police car is the lead car in the parade.
That's awesome. Good.
In fact,
That's why I'm asking. I think I got to ask Greg about that this
I'm going to
morning.
nail the sheriff and the state police captain when he comes in, because they're
Awesome.
usually a part of it. It's great that I think that I know this shows something about Sorganies. They don't stop in every community and have a parade. They
No,
don't
this is
stop
nice.
in
This
every-
is this is nice.
I forget what community to the south of us where they stopped and they did something. And then 2 years ago, quite a few of the contingent stayed overnight in Sorganies. And then from there went to Albany, and they made another stop. So there was no stops between Sorganies and Albany. And it's certainly a tribute to a lot of people who have made Sorganies what it is today.
I've never been to Lake Placid somehow.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
I was fortunate. All those years, we had the Adirondack Regional Conference up there. It all started with the ice storm in 1999. The Iceman Coming, it was something like that we named it. And just to go in to the Lake Placid arena and see those rinks. And the rinks are named by the year that the hockey team won gold. So you'll have the 1924 rink, you have the 1980 rink. You got to do that.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of construction up there right now too. I
Are
heard.
they?
Yeah, last year. Yeah,
You were
at
up
Lake
there
Placid.
recently?
So I'm trying to bring a conference there in 2024. So I've been discussing with their police chief, and we also have a company that we've hired through the State Chiefs Association that puts on conferences. That's right now
Set that up.
they put out their request to receive information back from the hotels, and we're taking a look at several dates up there. One of the things I'm interested in, I spoke to the police chief about up there, was the fact that we want to hold a cocktail evening. They call it the President's Evening, and we want to hold it at the top of the toboggan run. They say it's absolutely beautiful at the top of the toboggan run to have events up there. So we're looking to do that.
Mount Van Hoevenberg.
Yes, if we get, yes, there you go.
I've
Yeah,
been in
so
there.
if we can get the conference up there, that's what we're looking to do. So in 2024, we're looking to bring that up there. So that'd be kind of neat.
Stay at now they recently renamed it. It's not the hotel right next to the Olympic Center. You go further into the village, and just before you make a left, or you make the left, it's right there on the corner. I don't know if it's now a Hyatt, or it might be a Hyatt.
I was going to say Hyatt. That sounds about right.
And Dancing Bears.
Dancing Bears. Okay.
That's the restaurant and lounge downstairs. Nice. And we had our conference right in the hotel there, and it was great. You could eat and have some drinks, and then just go up to your room and call it a night.
Next a little bit.
Yeah.
So are you giving us a signal in there or no? I thought
Yeah, you got 30 seconds.
we have 30 seconds left.
Greg knows it's like automatic every 29
He's
minutes.
got a clock
looks up.
in his
He's
head
got
now.
Well, I thought I saw the hand go up, so I wasn't really sure. I thought you were waving back to my cup.
Yeah, Greg's pretty good with it. After so many years of being a host, Greg and Fred know exactly when to go
Somebody
to break.
asked me that. I can't even remember. I can't remember.
How many years have you been doing it? Yeah.
I've been doing this.
At least 10, right? Because I've been here 6 years.
Yeah, and then before that, I was a guest,
Yeah.
a monthly guest. And
Well,
all righty,
yeah.
it's 8:00. It's time for a break. We'll be back in a few.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This programming is brought to you by the Friends of Kevin Cahill. As a strong advocate of local broadcasting, Assemblymember Cahill urges you to support Kingston Community Radio with your time and donations. Your contributions keep KCR vital and on the air at FM 92.5, AM 920, and on the web at mykcr.org. Please join Assemblymember Cahill and send your gifts of $10, $25, or more to Kingston Community Radio, Post Office Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402. Together, let's keep KCR alive.
Any type of signs.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, viewers and listeners who have been with us for the past hour, past half hour. Those just joining us, welcome. You are listening to the KCR Wednesday edition KCR radio show. And 331-9255 is our call-in number. We'd love to hear from you. We have Sheriff Juan Figueroa, who just came into the studio.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Chief Joseph Sinagra, police chief in Sorgetes. Fred Costello, supervisor from Sorgetes. And normally we do birthdays, but guess what?
No birthdays today?
We have no birthdays.
No way.
Oh. How's everybody doing?
Good. How you making out?
I'm good. I'm good. I was listening on the way up. A lot of serious conversations.
Oh, yeah.
You know I'm an optimist, so I think I just want to get out of this pandemic. I think everybody's kind of, this is our third calendar year with this pandemic, and it's a unique time. And, we don't realize it, but we're living in history. For those of us that may still be around in 20 years, I'm going to look back during this time frame and everything that happened. So many things happened all at once.
Oh, yeah.
And I was listening to the chief on the way up, and I got to tell you, there's so many things in our profession that happened, but in particular, society. And I think I like to put a positive spin on things. It's got to get better.
Oh, yeah.
I like to make my case. And I like to have face-to-face conversations when I disagree with somebody or something that government is doing. I had the privilege to sit and speak to the Speaker of the Assembly himself, who I never met before. I had the privilege to speak to senators, and I realized how young they are. And so, yeah, we are living in a unique time. But with that said, happy 2022. Let's move forward and onward and know that we can change things today and tomorrow, but not much of what happened yesterday, but we can learn from yesterday and move forward. And so I'm looking forward to 2022. I'm an optimist. I got all kinds of things going on.
Well, you have to be. You have to be looking forward. You know, what has happened. The current state that we live in, we have very little control except to be safe. Don't gather in large gatherings. And, I'm very optimistic. Very optimistic.
I'm glad to see everybody here, actually. I didn't know if we were going to have it today. I was like, we're going to have the meeting today. I saw the text this morning.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. And I know the captain said he was going to come. He had texted me yesterday. I'm like, yeah, I believe it's still going on. So it's good to see everybody. How's everybody's New Year?
Good. Or so good.
Yeah. I work the midnight shift, like I do most of the time. Actually, the previous sheriff did as well on New Year's. And so I kind of kept that tradition. I guess the biggest kick that I get is when I show up to the scene of something and they're like, what is the sheriff doing here? And I get a kick out of that. But it shows, and I'm sure the chief does the same thing, it shows the rank and file that we understand the work that they do and we appreciate what they do. Of course, being someone who was in the trenches for a while, last thing I wanted to see was a boss show up that started micromanaging. So I don't micromanage. I show up, obviously, if I think something's going the wrong way, I'm going to say something.
We're good for making that coffee run for that.
I'm of the same mindset. Also,
you know what I'm saying, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I also think, too, it projects back to the rest of your team,
right?
In a positive way, and you're there in case just like the Garlic Festival. Sure. I got supervisors that run the parking lot, do this, and yeah, there's times where I have to get involved, I have to get needed, but in the recent years, it's less and less and less.
Yeah,
and I've put in place 15, 20 years ago where and I say to my team all the time, I say to Fred's heard it many, many times say this. I think one of the good signs of an administrator is an administrator who puts procedures in place, takes measures to put in place, that if something happens to that person, everything continues to go.
Right.
I go away for a month. I get back. I ask the chief, how was everything? Oh, better than when you were around. I said, okay, next year I'll go for 2 months. And I said I could walk down the stairs, have a heart attack.
He doesn't tell you, though, he calls every day, he sends text messages.
No, I do not.
He's never really away. Come on, I talked to you down in Florida.
Sounds like all of us, though, doesn't it?
And you're in Florida or you're in North Carolina, I don't know you're there, and you answer the calls. But you know something? I'm very selective. It's the same way with emails. When I've got my vacation responder on, and I'm very selective. Now, of course, if I see the chief call, or if I saw you call, or Fred call, there's probably some urgency to it. And if I'm able to, I'll answer it.
Right.
Good, I can't wait. When he goes away, 2 o'clock in the morning.
You would say that. I remember.
Hey, you got time for a quick call? Nobody calls out. Oh, yeah, just want to know if you're up.
I remember the year I was in San Diego. And
beautiful San Diego. I love San Diego. Oh, my God. What a great town.
At 4 o'clock in the morning, my phone rang. It was actually Steve Whipple, who's a member of our state association. He's the golf course superintendent at West Point. And he left a message. And he goes, hey, he says, I'm sure you're busy. I know you're an early bird. He forgot I was on the West Coast. I called him back, and I says, thanks for the wake-up call at 4 o'clock. And I couldn't oh, my God, I'm so sorry.
I did that to the captain, to Mario.
Well, you do it on purpose.
Right after. No, I called him one morning, like around 7 o'clock, and I'm almost positive I'll have to ask him when he comes in here, because I remember, I think he said he was in California. He answered the phone. I'm like, oh, I'm in California. I'm like, sorry.
Funny, I do the same thing. I call him on his days off, and I feel awful.
Yeah. And he said, what do you need?
Yeah.
He took care of it.
good man, good
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So, so
We're never really off, I guess, is what it comes down to. Unfortunately.
And it's great to see. I'm not the only one that does that. All the chiefs in the county do that. I've seen Chief Sinagra out there all the time, and it's good to see. I mean, it's good to know that there's a partnership, that we care about what happens with the rank and file, and we care what happens in the community. One thing that, with all of these changes that are coming our way in law enforcement, is that people have forgotten that we still speak for the victims, and there are criminals out there, and those are serious issues that the laws have to be adjusted with this coming year, and that's putting our cases together, talking to folks at the Assembly and the Senate, and having that conversation. I think it'll get adjusted. It already has been adjusted once, and we'll continue to move forward. We don't live in a police state. We have to adhere to the laws that that elected officials are put in place to do. But it's also our obligation to have public safety at the forefront of what our jobs are. And I think there's in our way of government, we have to put our case together and go talk about it. I see more adjustments coming. I really do, and I agree.
I think you're right. There's definitely
going to be more
change.
adjustments coming. Look at the new mayor of the city of New York.
Mm-hmm.
He said there's changes coming there,
right.
and I think that he was a former police officer, and he's going to make that change on it. He knows that crime is on the rise, and in particular neighborhoods that are underprivileged, and people have a right to live in peace everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I think at some point that these adjustments will occur. Before I continue, though, I want to bring some good news up. This is kind of part of reforming law enforcement and being more transparent. We officially we were going to kick it off this week, but because of the pandemic, we had to kind of push it back. Today was going to be the kickoff day, and I was going to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it anyway. We got a Sheriff's app now, and there's so many things on there. There'll be press releases on there. There'll be compliments and concerns. There'll be information on incarcerated individuals and when they're going to get released. There's going to be a section for active warrants. There's a section there for oracles, so you can let people, do referrals for people that need help. And we definitely don't want to see them at the county jail. And we'll get them help if you reach out and call and trust us. And it's about building that relationship again with the community. Me and the chief go back many, many years, and we remember when we weren't making a lot of money back then.
Still not.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even going to go.
Going there. We had to do two jobs at some point in our careers, and we were intermingled a lot more with. We all live in our own bubbles. Let's face it. But I think there's nothing wrong with looking at ourselves and improving. And I know that the chief with his committee up in Saugerties did it. We all had to do it. And so this is part of that promise of being more transparent. If you want to make a complaint, over 84% of the people in this county have smartphones. Mm-hmm. And so the Sheriff's app, which you can get on the Apple Store, the App Store, or I don't know. I don't have the other phone, the Android, but I'm sure they have I guess it's Google. You can look it up on Google and scan it and download it. There's still some adjustments going with the app, but all the chiefs, agencies, and their phone numbers are on there if you need to reach out to them, their office numbers. And so it's important for us to put the information out there. You want to submit a tip, you want to contact us, you have a complaint, and not just complaints. How about a compliment? We'll take compliments too, and
we like those.
Absolutely.
So is that very similar to what
you
were talking about earlier?
So the Crime Watch, you'll be able to get on your cell phone. That is correct, and then you can with the Crime Watch, you can, and I'm not sure you can probably do it with your app. You can file a complaint. But I urge people, if you need the police there now, you call 911. You don't do it through the app. Don't
Absolutely.
Do it through the Crime Watch.
Great point. Yeah. Great point.
Now, I got to ask this. Having that ability, because obviously there are people, I mean, I deal with it all the time. One of the residents at J.C. Field, they're very hesitant to call the police. They're afraid of retaliation. So now you're going to have all this information that's going to be coming in.
Right.
That's almost like needing a full-time person
Well, I divide it up between, there's three of us that'll receive the information at the same time. So one of the three of us, of the administration, will ensure that it's dealt out right away and that it's handled. But don't forget, these are non-emergency complaints that we're asking to receive. So these aren't something that's going to require, a response within the next 10 minutes. It may be a half hour, 45 minutes, but you'll get contacted.
And you respond to everyone that you get?
Yes. So far.
But our app is a little bit different. The app is more of an informational tool. The Sheriff's app is, and we look for referrals for Oracle, referrals for the new program called Avert, and I'm starting a new professional standards division this year, and those people that have either compliments or complaints or want to review our policies can go on the app. Everything from our use of force to complaints against personnel. We're still adjusting some of the stuff that's on there because it's new, but it's available. It's transparent. You could be anonymous if you want to give a tip. But the normal way of doing, actual complaints against individuals or violating the laws is still dialing up 911. This is simply an informational tool for the purposes of the public. So they have access to who is in the county jail, who, if they want to even put money in their accounts, they can do that. So it's a great app. Look it up, Ulster County Sheriff's app, and download it. It also is going to give you weather reports. We can put things in quick time if we're shutting roads down or if there's police activity in a certain area we want you to avoid. So all that stuff's going to be on there, and all of us, not just the sheriff's office, will have access to it if we need to put stuff out.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So see, we both got something new coming up.
So there you go. Look at that. You can actually scan that with your phone right now and download it.
So what I'll have to do now, you'll have to put our Crime Watch link.
Sure, we can put that on there.
We'll put the sheriff's app on our Crime Watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we can definitely. We're going to eventually put a dashboard on there for those agencies that have the law enforcement records management. And that dashboard would let people know how many arrests were made, who was arrested, and what areas. Mainly for folks that have law enforcement records management under the sheriff's office. There's some agencies that don't. But nonetheless, people want that information, and we're going to go ahead. I know.
Yeah, we put ours out on our webpage.
You posted it. You did it.
Yeah, now it'll go out on Crime Watch. Yep.
So yeah, we'll have that dashboard up there for folks that are interested in knowing what our numbers are. But yeah, it's the new world of technology and transparency, and we're looking to move forward with this. And
don't want to interrupt you there, but we do have a caller, real quick.
I'm sleeping here. Good morning.
I got you there, Lawrence. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Kingston Community Radio. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Good morning. I want to thank the sheriff's office. A couple of days ago, I was having problems with my cell phone. Every time I tried to shut it off, it kept going to 911. Well, finally, I gave up and sat down and was in my living room. And a little later, outside my door, there was a young sheriff's officer, nicest young man. He knocked on the door. He said, "Are you okay? Everything all right?" And so I explained what had happened, that the malfunction of my phone. And so he took down information. I thanked him profusely. This is an example of the kind of wonderful service that we get from our sheriff's office. That, I want to thank you personally, but I would think that in terms of all the community, we are so fortunate to have your people serving us and protecting us. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And, it's interesting that you say young, Deputy. We got 15 new guys that have under 4 years on the job. So, and I'm sure all of us are going through that. And, yeah, we're training them. Our training budget went up because of the needs of what our public wants us to do from now on in regards to reimagining police. So, yes, I want to take this opportunity to thank all the folks out there that support our efforts. And thank you, sir, for letting me know that.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing such a great job in training these young men. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And women. We train young men and
women.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's only the women out.
Happy New Year.
And thank you very much for the call, Dr. Paul. That was very, very nice of you, and it's always nice to hear because law enforcement, unfortunately, gets a lot of criticism. A lot of times it's unjustified, and it's nice to hear. It was quite a compliment towards you.
Well, thank you. So what else is going on? Where's the captain at? I don't know.
So, yeah, the captain should be on his way. I know that Chief Berardi is unable to make it this morning because of a meeting. He had a conflict, so he won't be joining us. But
So I know we have a big meeting today at 10 o'clock. Some of the members of the executive board of the New York State Controlled Cannabis Board is going to be on.
Right.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about the app at the conference today. At the meeting today, it's going to be virtual, obviously, because of what's going on with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's. I'm excited about 2022. Like I said at the beginning of the hour, we just need to get past this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on up in Saugerties there, Fred? How's everything going?
All's well. We have a lot of exciting projects we've already started. I think one of the things that people are going to experience visually and notice most will be the Pickleball Court. It's going to be the latest addition to our park.
What is that?
Pickleball?
Yeah.
It's a hybrid between tennis and ping pong.
Wait, do you know what it is?
You know, I was going to ask that.
Okay, so.
It's a hybrid between, it's like a full-scale version of ping pong. And it's tremendously popular with folks in our age category. And it's a big trend across the country. But I think the only court locally is Kingston. And
really?
That's about
They
to
take
change.
their nets in November.
Do they really?
That's what Doug told me. Yeah, because now they're all indoors.
Yeah.
I could not believe the popularity of this. And about 3 years ago, maybe it's been a little more now, this committee got formed of residents, and they've raised a sizable amount of money. There is no direct monetary outlay of taxpayer dollars.
How much of an athlete do you have to be to play this game?
We can remember our glory days and not embarrass ourselves. Yeah, I think it's obviously people take it as competitive as they choose, but it's a slower pace, and I don't think it's as hard on your body as trying to play tennis aggressively anymore. And it has a huge following. And Greg's right. I think we were all caught off guard when we got the first email about it. I'm like, what the heck is pickleball? You ever heard of such a thing?
Well, after the way I saw our softball team played last year, maybe we need to look at pickleball.
Listen, I'm gonna look it up. Maybe we should get a league going.
Well, we're gonna have a facility shortly.
Wow.
Early in
Hopefully, hopefully they're able to raise about 75% of the base.
There's the captain.
There he is.
About 75% of the base is in, and Albert's leaving for Florida tomorrow, so he's not going to be back until the end of January. So things are going to slow down a bit.
So, but I think that's gonna be exciting. Hi,
Great.
Captain.
I like
Welcome.
that. Great.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Welcome.
Morning, and to our listeners and viewers, our state police captain, Mario Restivo, just popped in here. Good morning, sir. How was your New Year's?
Good. It was wonderful, eventful. We had a very busy holiday season for the state police, but all in all, a good year started already. So
I'm laughing because I saw a photo of the captain the other day. I remember when that photo. I'll show you in a second. But he was.
Gotta share.
Oh my God, he was a kid. I mean, we're all kids, but he was a real kid. And I sent it to him, and he goes, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Yeah, that's got to be like over 20-something years ago, maybe longer. I don't know."
It was 29 years ago.
Was it?
You were still part of the troop back then?
He was a trooper. I was a brand new part-time sheriff's deputy.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a great picture, though.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a great picture! And
I wanted my hair back. I wanted to have
that's
my
exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I mean, but he looks the same, though.
I have video of the sheriff dancing down in New York City. So.
Oh, it's not much of blackmail. I mean, it just shows how I aged gracefully. I don't look as bad
look
as
at
I
that.
did before.
Look at that. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wait.
He looks the same.
Trend.
Doesn't he look the same?
Yeah, it looks like Mark Scarselli. Who is that?
All right, now I'm offended. I know this myself. How was everybody's New Year and their holiday season?
Good, excellent. Had a great time. Great time. My grandkids made Christmas a blast, so it was awesome.
I saw Sergeant Josh Taylor was out on a midnight shift on New Year's Eve, so I saw him, and I'm climbing over the fence, and he goes, "Are those troop shoes?" I'm like, "As a matter of fact, they are."
He was leading the way. We had a drive sober and get pulled over detail from December 15th until the 1st of January. And that evening on New Year's Eve, obviously, as we know, can be a high volume of intoxicated or impaired drivers. So we had a detail out there, and who better to lead it than Sergeant Taylor? So.
Yeah, no, it was great. There was a couple of cars that were taken. Again, folks, if you're gassing up your car and you're going in the store, shut the car off and take the keys, and your car won't get stolen. If you're a delivery person for a restaurant, shut the car off and take the keys so your car doesn't get stolen. That's what happened on New Year's Day. And that's what these guys the City of Kingston Police Department, was out on a pursuit trying to locate the car. And, life is tough, but it's tougher when you make mistakes like that.
Mm-hmm. And remember now, frost is upon us, has been for a while, but yesterday morning, you go out to your car, if it's not in the garage, and you start it, you let it idle for a while to get that windshield cleaned off, and like the sheriff said, that's another opportunity for somebody to take your vehicle.
Yeah, lock the door, have a second key.
Is there a little spike in stolen car activity?
There was that day.
Yeah.
There were two that day. There was the December 31st and January 1st. There were people just leaving their cars running, and the opportunists saw that and took advantage of it.
Wow.
The other car ended up in Troy, New York.
Right. I can either walk when it's cold, or I can jump in someone's car.
And again, crime of opportunity, right? So I know, not leaving out our partners in policing the City of Kingston PD, I believe some of your guys have had a rash of people going into open vehicles. I know there was some of that in the town of Esopus.
Yes.
There was a lot here in Kingston, people not locking their cars at night. And then
steal change out of the ashtray and...
No, I'm surprised at what people keep in their cars, right?
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this. Absolutely surprised what people keep. If you have large sums of money, don't keep it in your car. Why not bring it in your house?
Jewelry.
If you own a firearm, don't leave it in your car. Bring it in your house. It's amazing the things I saw in these that was taken over the holiday season. Absolutely amazing. It's like, why would you leave that stuff in your car?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult because people become routine and they don't expect anyone to violate their property or their personal space.
Sure.
And this is what happens. So
Well, if they don't get it, but now, it's just, I'll tell you, I am just overly cautious. I mean, I can remember years ago, I think we all did it. You pull in your driveway, especially you park your vehicle behind your house like I do, you'd leave it unlocked.
Yep.
No more. Garage used to be unlocked. No more.
Times have changed.
Oh, have they ever?
Yeah.
Well, you talked about it at the onset.
Sure.
Society has changed.
Absolutely.
And through this pandemic, society has changed.
Again, I don't think a lot of these. There's a lot of empty, businesses down in New York City in office space because people and these corporations are really they're going to stay with these Zooms. I think that's something that, if anything, and we talked about it last year. That's how virtually we're going to communicate from now on. I mean, I was a master of ceremonies for a couple of elected officials on last week. Nina Pashapek, the county clerk, and Marge Gallagher, the comptroller, and that was done virtually. And that's the way things have been it feels like it's the new normal. I mean, really, it's the new normal. And look at us now. 3 years into it, and here we are with masks on. And it's a unique time, but
we'll be doing this radio show next month from our office.
Your studio set up and everyone's home.
Well,
everybody be virtual.
At the height of the last spike, we did radio kind of virtually. I think you were the only one in the studio for a while, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, usually, no offense. Usually, whenever we have you as a host, it is kind of virtual because you're usually getting dressed about 15 minutes into the show.
Yeah.
Am I right, Greg? He calls me up. He's supposed to be here doing the show with me a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, where are you? And he goes, I just got up. I'm getting dressed. He goes, I'll call in on the phone. They won't know any difference.
I gotta tell you something.
We have
Chief.
Yeah.
Tell you something. This morning, he was 25 minutes early. He walked in at 10:07.
Are you okay?
10:07. And the reason
you okay?
Yes, we're fine.
Now, you didn't catch that probably.
Is he wearing shorts?
The reason I say he was 25 minutes early.
You picked him up?
I've always said that if he's supposed to be someplace at 7,
give me a
at
cushion.
7:14, he's 1 minute early.
Yep. Yeah, it was early here.
It was funny though. A couple weeks ago, I'm sitting here. Funny. It's just Lawrence and I, and I'm like, "Yep, Fred's on the phone." He goes, I'll be there. And then he thought he wanted to, now I was going to tell him the story. Okay. Then he was going to be a reporter. Now he's reporting to us on the way in. All the stuff that, like, he got over by 28, a large boulder came off a truck or something.
Yeah, a concrete barrier fell off a flatbed.
Oh, my God.
Remember
nothing you're going to
the news to us.
Can't
See, you talk about
that.
weather reports on your app.
Can't report that?
Not on the sheriff's app or the town app. You have to call. I was listening on the way in.
Radio show while you were roving.
He was rolling.
Yeah.
Fred Costello and Mobile One.
He was working on the budget for a helicopter, I think.
Yeah.
Reports. Yeah.
You know that commercial. Hey, you're not getting a helicopter.
Damn it.
We are at the bottom of the hour. It's time for a break. In fairness to our sponsors, we'll be back in a few.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM. And also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed, support causes that matter, change lives, change communities, change the world. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Nobody does. Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, viewers and listeners that have been with us this morning. And we are already in our last half hour, and those just joining us, welcome. 331-9255 is our call-in number. We would love to hear from you. We've got a full studio here. Starting across from me, Sheriff Juan Figueroa, our sheriff from Ulster County, State Police Captain Mario Restivo, Chief from Sorganies, Joseph Sinagra, and Town Supervisor Fred Costello.
I like the emphasis he placed on that.
Excuse me?
I like the emphasis he placed on that.
He does a nice job. I feel
he does. Yeah.
So I want to just add something. I was thinking about this. I know it affects more the Sheriff's Department and myself. So right before, and I know we're into 2022, but I just want to back up to December to just point something out and thank a group of individuals, the Kingston Concerned citizens, and especially like Val Dwyer, those 12 days of Christmas that they did. Not many people know about it. They people of the community that belong to that group had put. Val had put out a large listing like, hey, do you want to sponsor an agency breakfast, lunch, or dinner? And it was for the 12 days preceding Christmas. And for every one of those 12 days, our barracks received, and we distributed around the Ulster County stations, an enormous amount of food and thanks and treats for the troopers. And I know they did it with the Sheriff's Office.
And we put it on social media.
PD,
Yep.
yeah.
You're right, Val Dwyer, Gary Harold.
Awesome.
Yeah, they were amazing. I'm glad you brought that up because that's such an important. They did it last year as well, and it's so important, especially to the folks that are working, that are out there every single day, and with this pandemic that's going on, that little bit just goes a long ways from the community. And I know that the rank and file at the Sheriff's Office absolutely love that, and the food was delicious, and so I thank Val Dwyer, and thanks for bringing it up, Captain, and Gary Harold, and all the folks that were involved, and we put it on our social media every single night. to serve both, not just the deputies, but the correction staff as well at the Ulster County Sheriff's Office. And I also want to thank, of course, our partners, the Bruthoff, for what they did. Every year, they make cookies for all of the incarcerated individuals and the correction staff. Every year, their brass band comes and plays. Although there was a pandemic, we put them in the hallway, so the folks that are in the jail can at least listen to. And what we've been doing, because there's a pandemic and people, we don't have in-person visits right now because of the pandemic. We have been giving the incarcerated individuals money so they can call their loved ones. And so it's been a unique year, but thank you for bringing up the 12 Days of Christmas and Val Dwyer and everything that they've done in all those businesses that did that for us. And I appreciate that, Captain.
No, definitely. And there is numerous businesses, not just in Kingston, around. I mean, so many. Probably every place that you and I, patronize, some restaurants and even just individuals. I've had some private citizens had given that would come into the station, and that was their first time into the station to take a picture with some troopers, and they were so excited and elated. And I've had troopers' families, and I know KPD and Town of Ulster also partake in it. So maybe we can extend it up to Saugerties next year.
We have. I got to tell you something. We were inundated with food products and gifts and from our communities. I think all communities take care of their law enforcement, which is nice. Yeah, it's really nice. And but I got to, and I would be more if I didn't say thank you to all the people that brought stuff over to our headquarters. So thank you very much. And
I don't know the list of all the businesses, but I know it was Savona's, Little Italy's. I mean, there was so many different groups.
Chipotle.
Yeah.
To Texas Roadhouse.
Yes. Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah. To Dallas Hot Wieners. To Frank Guido's Little Italy.
That's some good stuff.
It was incredible.
It was.
And I know that KPD also, I know they're not here, they do speak on another day, I believe, on the radio. So they...
It was on the third Wednesday.
Yeah, but we've had private conversations just discussing how it helps the men and women, the rank and file, understand that negativity is just a small voice, and the people who come through the barracks or the stations and say, hey, we really appreciate you, and this is just a small token of how we do. And
it goes a long way.
It was a very long way.
It was a long way.
It's been very nice.
You hit the nail on the head when you said something so small, something goes such a long, long way and is so big. And you're right. I mean, the percentage that's out there that have negativity towards the police community is a very, very small percentage. And I'm not saying that because there's 3 members of law enforcement here. I truly believe that, especially in our neck of the woods. It might be different in New York City. It might be different in Detroit or Chicago. But I truly believe that. And the ones that small percentage that are negative, I mean, you see it at board meetings. How many times does somebody come and ask for privilege of the floor? They sign up to speak and they get up and they say, Supervisor Costello, members of the town board, I am happy with everything. I'm happy with this. They don't.
Call that the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're right. And, I have seen, and the subtle changes make big changes in the end. Just putting the seal, the state seal in the middle of the sheriff's shield at the rotunda. It took months for people to realize that happened. Doing one uniform. We had several uniforms at the sheriff's office. Now we have one. And it's you start to see a change of behavior on what we do and who we are. And I took this opportunity last year to educate folks on what it is that the tough business that is law enforcement. And so, I think just the other day I had another incident. Matter of fact, it was yesterday. The sheriff's office is responsible for evictions, and we usually put those on hold during the holidays because we don't have the manpower to do it. But we put them on hold for the holidays. And so we had to do a tough one yesterday, and it involved an area in the city that there were a lot of complaints about, and the people were intimidating their neighbors. But we were still able to have a decent conversation with the folks there, and we found them a place to live because they were going to be homeless, and we instituted. I reached out to the commissioner the division, the Department of Social Services. And from now on, when we have an eviction and we put out the 14-day notice, we're going to contact Family of Woodstock. We're going to contact DSS. And this is not my idea, folks. This was an idea that was put out by the deputy that does the civil evictions, and that's Deputy Mike Wilbur. And I give him all the credit because that started me to make the phone calls, and from now on, that's how we're going to do business. So it's not just showing up and saying, "Hey, you got to go." We're gonna try and help you out too, and that de-escalated that situation so much that I give a lot of credit to the rank and file, the civil division of the sheriff's office, KPD who was there, and the deputies that were there, and that's the new way of thinking. That we are not going to stop here. We have to go the extra mile. And people expect that of us. And so I'm pretty excited about 2022 with all the changes that are coming with our professional standards division, with the new, AVERT program that's coming up, our partnership with the state police and the chiefs and our community leaders. And I'm looking to move forward and onward and not dwell on the past and have a positive spin at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, good. Have you seen the spike up in evictions yet?
We are lucky because, unlike other counties, we were constantly in contact and had town halls with folks that were involved in the eviction process. The county set up illegal eviction hotline, so I give the county executive a lot of credit for that. And we still have a high percentage. I think there were like 60, but it's not like other counties that have 200-300. Mm-hmm. So, but yes, we're going to be in that season now because the moratorium is up. That we're going to see an uptick in evictions, and that's why we had to come up with a plan to, we're in the middle of the wintertime, and if there's kids and families, we have to kind of think outside the box to get them help. We have to be neutral because we work off of a court order. Mm-hmm. The judge makes that decision. We get a court order. We're obligated to do it, but we can do it in a professional manner where we can de-escalate these situations and actually help people too.
Tough spot.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Having someone to leave somebody's house. That's tough.
And
it's tough.
I speak from experience. Landlords have felt a significant pinch, and there's a hostility and anger that's brewed over the past two and a half years to want to get resolutions to these. It's never taken this long before.
Interesting that you say that, because some folks were saying, well, maybe we shouldn't do this eviction to avoid issues. I'm like, we can't set a precedence here. No. The court order has been issued. Yeah. We double-checked it to make sure it was still active. We'll have a conversation with the occupants that are there, and we'll give them options. Mm-hmm. But they have to leave because the court ordered it. It's a tough job. Yeah. It's a tough job.
We all know the lack of housing and available housing, even if you are, hey, okay, I'll try and rent another place, besides the monetary issue that people have jacked the rates up so high because of the low value of inventory. We see that in the housing market, mm-hmm. correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you put people? Or how do you help people find new locations? Not to mention some of our places that are overrun or burned out, like our shelter here on Washington Avenue that is no longer. You think about those places are dwindling. So they're even though you're pushing them good to places, that's a great idea. And that is, like the sheriff said, we envisioned how we think as police officers and not just handling the law aspect of it. We're taking more of an active part in the human piece of it. What can I do for this family or this person? That's very important, but we need to also understand we're now pushing a burden onto somewhere else. So that is going to cascade downwards, so we need to figure out moving forward how to fix that. So your 60 cases are going to affect a lot of people.
Sure, absolutely.
What do you do in a scenario, or what does the officer do in a scenario where the individual, the family, is completely defiant and refuses to leave?
We haven't run into that. We try to de-escalate it, yes. But eventually, I mean, look, there's laws in the books like obstructing governmental administration that we may have to arrest people for. That's the last resort. We don't want that to happen. It's a tough situation as it is.
Oh, I can imagine.
Why make it tougher? And so we have these conversations. Even, Mario Tags, Tagliafiero, who's part of this AVERT team, went out there to speak to them and give them options. This This is all part of the same thing that we've been doing at the Sheriff's Office for the last 3 years, from Oracle to the new program called Avert, to what I said a minute ago about reaching out to Family of Woodstock and DSS to kind of, we have to go that extra step now. We have to put that check in the box. So we did everything that we possibly can before we have to do that arrest. And that's what we're doing, and that's how we're going to try and deal with it. Of course, we're probably going to run into a situation like that, and unfortunately, it make the situation gets worse because now we have to arrest somebody, and that's even landlords. KPD just arrested a landlord that illegally evicted somebody. It's a tough time. We went last year. I might have said this on right here on the radio. Where the person said it was an illegal eviction. They shut the lights off, and we go to the landlord, and the landlord's like, I don't have light either. I don't have any money to pay for it. So is that a illegal eviction? No, it's not. So there's a lot of, this is a unique time that we're living in. Simple as that.
It's a unique challenge. And I think for folks that have been in the real estate business, this is an unprecedented challenge because, you had a tenant that wasn't paying or a problem, and in 60 days or 90 at most, you could get a resolution to be out. You're 27, 28 months in now, and you may not have gotten revenue. It's starting to be painful.
Very painful. You still have to pay taxes. Yep. You still have to pay mortgages. Yep. So it's a tough time all the way around. There's got to be relief. And I know that the state put out that relief to all the, I don't know where it's at, where it was going, or how many people actually.
Only marginally successful.
Right.
How many initial tranche, you needed the resident to sign a waiver indicating that their employment was compromised because of COVID. So if the resident was just, and some people squatted, they just flat out squatted. Mm-hmm. So if that was the resident you were dealing with, they wouldn't sign anything. So now the landlord was left absent an opportunity to get recouped losses. And then the very end of it, they did open it up where landlords could apply. But by then, the pool of money was basically depleted. So that lasted about 3 days. And that was it.
Oh, incredible. That was a lot of money, too.
It was billions, but it didn't make it. It didn't make it everywhere that it should have, unfortunately. And small landlords are the ones that are always the ones. They don't have that back office infrastructure to be active with granting and things like that. And they may only have 6 or 7 properties or less. And in the case you described, it sounds like it was a duplex situation where the resident was one side and a tenant was the other.
Yep.
That person is probably struggling even just to keep the property at all.
All right.
And that's, I know there's been some effort by the county to waive some of the fees that might have accumulated, but it's tough.
It is tough.
Yeah, they're not going to raise the tax levy for sure.
Well,
so that's
it's a tough situation all the way around. I mean, you evict somebody in the middle of the wintertime, and then what we spoke about the landlords. But we have to find a common ground to kind of help everybody out. We have to help each other out is what we need to do. So.
But then, there are the ones that take advantage of the situation, that do have the money to pay, and they don't.
They ruin it for everybody.
It's tough. I mean, I can imagine some of the scenarios you've been
through.
I'm just so glad I sold my last rental before the pandemic.
You're like a prophet. You had perfect timing.
You didn't just go there.
Yeah. Yeah, Greg. He had the vision to see. Yeah,
profit.
But like
Profit,
I said,
Greg.
But it's both sides. I mean, there's some landlords that took an opportunity to raise the rent and try to get people out, and did illegally kick people out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's plenty of blame to go around.
Yep.
I think we need to get past that and figure out a way to help the folks that are suffering with, whether you're a landlord or a tenant. I mean, there's got to be a way to figure out a midway. You're never going to please everybody, that's for sure. But the law is the law, and if you don't pay your rent, and the landlord evicts you, and there's a court order, we're obligated to evict you. So it's a tough job.
Yeah.
How about some good news?
Let's get off this subject. Let's get off that.
I'm going to throw Sheriff a quick comment because he started his hour with us by saying, I'm an optimist, and we can we can learn from the past, but we can't change it. And you're right on. What you just said fits right into that nicely.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is history, folks. We're living history. I mean, that's what's going on right now. It's hard to see it because we're in it every single day, but this is living history that we're in right now, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. And
Yep.
I think, the challenges we saw with the supply chain and with, trying to manage an organization that provides a service, it's just almost impossible to be successful. And I know you indicated you have a high number of folks out right now.
I do.
And we do as well.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge. I know
It's a
we had
manpower
canceled court
drain.
yesterday. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and everything kind of snowballs. We didn't have court yesterday, but those cases are still relevant. So we're going to add them to the next court date. If we have an emergency court date in between, I don't know. But it doesn't mean that doesn't happen. It just gets delayed longer. And things will still go wrong between now and then.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
It creates a backlog.
And as you alluded to, during the pandemic, everything else that we've had to deal with, and everything else that's cropped up, and the supply chain, being one. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. How on earth does something like that unfold, a scenario in Virginia on an interstate, a major interstate, 27 hours? 75-mile backup. I mean, there's got to be some exits where I just don't understand how, that 27 hours to be in your vehicle. And,
wow. Yeah, there's a lot of uproar today about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it's somewhat understandable. I'm curious how it happened, because there's definitely a lesson to be learned there and what to do to avoid that happening again.
Obviously, there was some kind of a major breakdown somewhere along the way.
Interesting you guys all say that, because tomorrow's another milestone of a major meltdown that happened in our country last year. And, we're all thinking about it. There's nothing in the horizon here, thank God, that we need to worry about, but we're always on our toes because we don't want what happened to those poor police officers down at the Capitol. We don't want that to happen, obviously, here. Who knew all of this stuff was going to happen? I mean, who knew all this stuff was going to happen in a 3-year period? It takes my breath away.
Yes, there's an extraordinary story to write. Someone when I started in political life said you should keep a diary, and I was like, yeah, but you never really have time to do it. But as you're reflecting, there's always those occasions where, I wish I did keep a diary, because it would be interesting to look back, especially since I had this privilege to serve as long as I have. But you too, you have.
You've said that to me many times.
Yeah.
But you don't have a time to do
I know, but you had. But when you started, Canton Field was actually a field, and there wasn't a whole lot there. And
we'll just compile his emails. There's a diary right there.
Well, one other quick good news is that the Oracle team was invited to speak out of about 140 applications to the national sheriffs down in Washington, D.C. I don't know if it's going to be virtual now, but they're pretty excited. And, we had Senator Hinchy with Senator Harcum, who's the chair of the Substance Abuse and Alcoholism Committee up in Albany, come down. And they're looking at the Oracle program, and they're trying to figure out how they can fund something like this statewide, which is a huge thing for all of us. There's a lot of mandates that comes from the state, but no funding. So that was an important meeting. I want to thank both senators for taking the time to come down to Ulster County, Senator Hinchy, Senator Harcum, and to talk about the MAP program, to talk about Oracle, and everything that we're doing here. The partnerships. I can't express the importance of the Chiefs Association, the state police, and the partnerships that we have here every single day in Ulster County, which is, I think, unique. And we've spoken about this before.
Many times.
And I'm telling you that partnership, when someone has an overdose, the chief has sent folks to Oracle to get trained, and someone has an overdose up there, they handle it. That social worker and peer advocates, they work for the sheriff's office, but they work for every single entity in this county. The Saugerties Police Department can pick up the phone, and like we said earlier about going that extra step, that's what the community wants. That's what we're all doing. And although it's been some unique times, we've had to adjust, adapt, and overcome, and find ways to deal with the problems in a hurry. In a hurry. That's what we all been doing. So my hat's off to all the leaders, in the towns and everybody's respective jobs and how lucky we are here in Ulster County that everybody, albeit it's not perfect, we are all working and we're heading in the right direction.
And we have 3 members of our department that are assigned to Oracle.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I know you bring up a good piece of information about overdoses and the great job that Oracle's doing, and really bringing us all together in law enforcement to understand that real catastrophic issue that is overdose. But I don't want to forget before we end our show, and I know we're getting there, to talk a little bit about checking on your neighbor and checking on your friend. What I mean by that is we've seen an uptick in the holiday season. We always do, unfortunately, with suicides. It's important for you to say something. And talking to the people out there, if you have a friend, a relative, someone who shows those signs of being distant and talking about hurting themselves or others, pick up the phone and call. I've had some instances where troopers have come back and said, the family member just said, if I just made that phone call, he or she would still be here. So for the people out there, keep your eyes open. You know your loved one. You know your friend. Always help. Ask them if you can help. If you can't help, get them someone who can. And I know the sheriff's department, the town authorities, all the police agencies, if you call and someone says, I don't know what to do or where to turn, we'll put you to someone that can help someone. So remember, the holidays are tough. It's tough on a lot of people. Just make that call. Call us, please. We'll help your loved one or your friend.
That's a very good point. Good. I'm glad you brought that. Glad you brought that up.
Curious dichotomy, but it does happen every year. You see, it's celebratory for most of us, but the folks that don't feel part of that, they really go the other direction. It's sad.
So since we're in a somber moment, and the sheriff is such an optimist, now I want our listeners just to please remember and keep in your thoughts and prayers the 458 men and women of law enforcement who lost their lives in 2021. And the reason why I mention that is that's a 55% increase over 2020. So it's a tough job out there for the men and women. And, I thank everybody who supports the blue and supports the gray and supports the black. And, we all work together as a community to solve crime. But let's remember that people are losing their lives every single day doing this job.
Yes, it's a tragedy.
It is. And hopefully, as you mentioned, now I'm repeating it several times, optimism. You got to be optimistic.
Sure.
For a better 2022, and hopefully that's the case with, in law enforcement and across the board.
I want to thank the sheriff, and I want to thank Captain, and also CSX Police, and DS Ambulance, and all the fire districts and fire departments and sororities.
What a great time that was.
Together,
great job, Chief. Great job.
You know that we served 600 children were provided with gifts at the Toy Express up in sororities this past December. So I just want to thank, and the reason why I'm thanking everybody, because everybody was there. Captain was there, the sheriff was there, CSX Police were there, they had their staff was there, and it was just a great day. And to see those kids walk away with gifts, and how many parents have contacted me telling us how they were just down. They had no money. They didn't know what they were going to do for Christmas for their children.
And I believe either you or Bob or both had said to me, well, I don't know if it's going to be as good as last year because of the supply chain. We didn't have as many toys. You had more toys, I thought.
Well, we got to thank Joanna Black for that. The Children's
Joanna
First
Black's
Responder Foundation.
amazing. She's amazing.
They came through, and at the last minute, we had another truck show up with toys.
It was great.
And again, Bob Saracasano and
Bob ordered the perfect weather for the day again.
Yes, it was.
Oh, it was beautiful.
And last but not least, Greg Chorvis, because his facility was absolutely.
And my team, not me.
Yeah.
So with that, we're closing on a good note. It's so great that we're able to help the children. Just as a reminder, if you still haven't sent in your check or got onto Venmo and you pledged for the Happy Christmas Fund, please do so, because we're short of the monetary amount that was pledged.
Well, we'll send the sheriff after him.
Hey, tomorrow's the day at the Three Kings. Tomorrow's the day at the Three Kings. I want to remind everybody.
Okay, so with that, we're just about out of time. Sheriff Juan Figueroa, thank you. Captain State Police Mario Restivo, thank you. Chief Joe Sinagra, thank you. Fred Costello, thank you. Lawrence, thank you. And most importantly, listeners and viewers, thank you. We'll be back here next Wednesday, same place, same time.